Joining everybody. We're just going to give people a little bit of time. We'll get started about half a minute now. Alrighty, I think it's probably safe to get going. Thank you for joining us on a beautiful Thursday afternoon for the Research Studies Town Hall. Today we're going to be talking about the researchstudies.cuanschutz.edu website and some recent changes that have come about. So first we'll go through introductions. I'll do a quick demo for people who are unfamiliar with the site. We'll talk about the admin portal, some guidance documents. Natasha's going to talk about recruitment for studies via email listservs and newsletters. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A. So if you have any questions during this presentation, there should be a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead and click on that. Put your question in there as opposed to into the chat function. That way we can record the questions and get back to them at the end. There's definitely time dedicated to that. But just to introduce myself, I'm Matthew Steinbeis. I am a Special Projects Manager with the Office of Regulatory Compliance. And along with Natasha Palmer, we are admins of the Research Studies site. So I'll let Natasha introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Natasha Palmer, and I'm the Communications Director for Regulatory Compliance and University Research. So Matt and I work together in tandem on this research study site, and we are here to provide support and resources for you all as you navigate through the process. So welcome.
So just to start out, hopefully before this meeting, you guys had a chance or had a chance in the past to go to researchstudies.cuanschutz.edu and kind of play around. If you're not familiar with it, go ahead and type it into your URL and just search around, see what you can find. This site was built more than a year ago, and it is a resource for not only researchers on campus, on the Anschutz campus, but also a community resource for people in the greater metro area in the Front Range to find research studies that they might be eligible for. So we're working on two sides. We're working for researchers here on campus, as well as trying to improve demographics for research being done community-wide. On here is just a couple screenshots. I'll go to the website here in a little bit. Hopefully people are familiar with the front end. This is the front page on your left. You can see the research studies are set up by category. We just picked something at random. This isn't a special study or anything in the middle, but this is one example of what the study looks like. If you either search by it or go into one of the categories, you can go and find this research study. And as well, there's a section for people that don't know too much about research and need information about what are research studies, how do I participate, and there's a lot of great information for research novices on here. The information on here is directly fed, so your studies are directly fed from Encore, what is called the SIT feed. I believe it stands for Study Information Portal feed. So if your study is on there, most of the main questions we get is, why isn't my study showing up on this website? Number one, your study has to be in Encore. Number two, it has to be open to accrual. So the status has to be open to accrual. And number three, there is a section that says omit from web. So that has to be marked no. Sometimes that is marked yes during study startup. If that is marked yes, then it says block this out, don't send it to the website. That might be helpful for some people who aren't actively recruiting, who are open to recruit, but say they're in an inpatient cancer study and aren't really looking for subjects in the community. So you may want your study to be omitted from the web, but if you want your study on this website and it says omit from the web, you can go into Encore and change that, and within 24 hours it should be updated. Like I said, we want this to be a valuable resource, not only for researchers on campus, but community-wide. Our metrics currently, we have more than 1,000 visitors a month, and a great majority of those visitors are new users. So we're continuously trying to amp up participation amongst the community to find this website. So our goals in this next year is to participate in 9 News Health Fairs, community events, block parties, and other such things. So we get the word out that if you want to participate in a research study on the CU Anschutz campus, go here and you can find information about what's available to you, to your family, or to a specific disease that you may be interested in.
Hey, Matt,
So,
there's a question in the chat, and I thought I would just pose that as we are moving forward, because this might be another question that others are thinking of too. Some of the studies are not excluded from the web and Encore, but still not showing up. What would the next step be?
the next step would probably be to see if it's open to accrual. And if it's open to accrual in Encore and it is not excluded from the web, we have a email address that we're going to provide. It's just researchstudies@cuanschutz.edu. Email that and we will follow up with you to try to figure out what's going on. So right now I'm just going to do a little test drive of the site. So I'm going to get out of sharing here. And like I said, hopefully most people have been to the site before. If not, go play around. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the front end, besides just some search functions and stuff like that. So I know I participate and I help out with a study. The COMERB number is 200685. It's the COVID biobank. So on here, I can see my study came up. So as a research coordinator or a member of the research team, you might want to just check to see if your study's on here if you haven't done that before. So I'll click on here and I just want to check out, does it look good? Are these pictures of what I want? Is information what I want? So the information here has to be COMERB approved. So all this stuff, like I said, is automatically fed from Encore. We as admins don't build this at all. It's an automatic build. But if you want to change the information on here, we'll tell you how to do that either by using verbiage that's in your protocol, your COMERB approved protocol, or there's a document that you can send to COMERB for approval for advertisement, and that's on the COMERB website. So scrolling down here, it looks like my PI's picture's not here, so that's not good. And some of the information on here is like a little less descriptive than I'd like it to be. So number one, I want to make sure my PI's photo is on here because it really helps with becoming familiar and comfortable with reaching out. So what I will do, and we're going to send out the tip sheets for this, so you don't necessarily have to be writing notes. All this is going to be on a tip sheet that we send out to all the participants after this. So I am at som.ucdenver.edu/research studies admin. So this is the back end portal for being able to change what your study looks like. So mine looks a little different because I'm an admin. But if you are set up as a primary contact for the study, in this drop-down box, you'll be able to find your studies. If you've previously made changes to the study, it might not show up in the Dropbox. It might show up down here. So if you know you're a primary contact and it's not showing up right here, make sure you look below because it might show up there as well. If you're not the primary contact can add you as an editor. So you just click on here. The primary contact has to do this. Click on here, put in your cuanschutz.edu email address, and you'll be added. I believe it's immediately. But in order to go and change my PI's picture, I'll just click on, I pulled down this to my study, 200685, customized study. So this is where we require an IRB approval. So if you plan on using just information verbiage in your protocol, you can upload your protocol here, but we prefer you do it by using an advertising component submission form. This can be found on COMERB's website. It's one sheet, you can fill it out, put verbiage that you want to use for advertisements. People do this for flyers a lot. And then we just want you to upload this so we know you have COMERB approval to update the verbiage on the site. So I've just got something called blank, just because I'm just messing around with my stuff. So you will have something a little bit more serious than just blank.pdf, hopefully. But that's how we know as admins that you have authorization to change stuff. So title, I can't really change. COVID-19 Biobank. People hopefully would know what that means, but primary objective would be a great thing to update. Some description fields and categories. I currently don't have any categories in here. The biobank's a little weird, so I'm not going to deal with that right now. You can change the category image, but let's go down to the principal investigator image. So currently there's not a picture here. Normally these are loaded through cudoctors.com, I believe. It might be cudoctors.edu, but there's a website these are automatically fed to as well. But for some reason, Dr. Flagg's photo wasn't there. So I've got a photo of him. So I'm just going to browse for it. I've got Thomas Flagg picture open, and there you go. It's loaded in there. So now that I have this, I can go down and submit. I just want to go over some other things. You can add a Facebook link, a Twitter link, and if you do have a COMERB approved flyer, you can add it here and it will be a hyperlink to your flyer. So there's a lot of things you can do to edit and update your studies page to make it look really great and inviting for people to contact you and to use this as a recruitment tool. So once I hit submit, it might take a little bit to load, but it gets sent to us as admins. And usually within 24 to 48 hours, we'll review the changes, make sure they look good, and approve. So the study has been submitted for approval, notifications have been sent. Normally we'll approve, but if it's denied, we'll let you know why. And if there's any questions during the process, you can always reach out to us at the research studies at cuanschutz.edu address, and we'll help you out with that. So going back to the PowerPoint.
Hey, Matt, we have a couple of questions while you're
Yeah.
Is this site exclusively for clinical studies or non-clinical community-based studies? Can they be found there as well?
It's mainly for clinical studies that are in ENCORE. So if your study is not in ENCORE, most clinical studies probably will not be. So clinical studies, for the most part, there are some few exceptions. If you feel like you might fit into the exceptions, go ahead and email us and we'll talk to you about it.
Can it be used for research surveys as well? And they are giving a specific COMERB number as well.
As long as the study's in ENCORE, it could be used for surveys. You can put the survey, especially if there was an area for REDCap survey links. So you can build your site, have it in ENCORE, have it open to accrual, and put your REDCap link in there. And then you can direct traffic to this site, have people fill out their information, and the survey will be sent directly to you through REDCap.
Great. Do we need the IRB to specifically approve the advertising component form, even if the information is from IRB approved documents, specific consent forms, flyers, etc.?
If the IRB has previously approved the language, then you're good. If there is any new language, you need to go through that form that I mentioned before. So if you previously have IRB approval, especially protocol language, it can be updated. We just need to see that document to be able to approve it.
Great. How can I log in to the site to edit?
It is through it's SAML, so it's through your cuanschutz.edu email address. When you go to that address, like I said, the som.cuanschutz/research studies, we'll send all this information out to everybody that's on the meeting today. Once you go there, you have to be on the VPN, so that might be a reason it's not working. As long as you're on the VPN using your cuanschutz.edu login, will get you to the admin portal.
Lots of great questions, and because we have the time, I just wanted to, there's a few more.
Yeah.
Would we need to get approval for cover photos of the study, or does the admin team approve this for us?
Photos would need to be approved by COMERB.
Great. And is this one, as a communications person for a team of researchers, some have put their studies up there with no pics. Can I gain access to update their pages, or does it have to be the lead investigator instead?
No, the lead investigator can approve you as an editor. It was that button I put as add editor. They have to go in and add you because it's under their login. Once they add you, you'd be able to edit and make changes, come or remove changes.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So just a review of what we were looking at, that was the admin portal. So having an updated study on the site will really help recruitment of more subjects because having a PI photo and easy to understand language makes people more comfortable with the study. It makes them easier for them to reach out to you. By using the admin control panel, you can make all those updates. Once you've done it once, it's really simple. There's a few like questions that at the starting. If you go in and are editing and things look weird, just email us at researchstudies@cuanschutz.edu and we'll help you out. And also, I wanted to reiterate, when using social media, if you have a Twitter feed, a Facebook page for your study, you can direct traffic from that Facebook page to the research study site. And what's powerful with that is you can collect the demographic information of people interested in your study and how they'd like to be contacted. So it's either by phone or by email. In my previous career as a research coordinator, I don't know how many times I'd call somebody and I get a voicemail and it'd just be a long drawn out process trying to get in touch with somebody. If somebody put, I prefer email, you automatically know you have their email, you can reach out. We're going to try to add text to preferred method of contact because now in 2021, people like being texted more than email or phone calls. So that is an update that's soon to come. But we really want researchers to see this as a powerful tool for recruitment and to be able to own their portion of this site and update it to make it look like how they want. Some of you may have received an email that looks like this. It's from Research Studies at cuanschutz.edu, and the subject is potential research participant from researchstudies.cuanschutz.edu. So this is from somebody in the public finding your research study and clicking on, I'm interested in the study. What the information we collect is name, phone number, email, some demographic information, and the affiliation. So this is emailed directly to the primary contact. Whoever set up as the primary contact in Encore is who this email goes out to. So you're able to find out that somebody's interested in your study, have their contact information and possibly some screening right away so you can tell age, gender, sometimes zip code, ethnicity can either screen in or screen out somebody from your study. And then we just prefer if you do receive this email from somebody, even if they screen out, that you get in touch with them just to let them know they're not eligible for the study. But if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out. But hopefully, many of you on this call have seen this email before. What it means is somebody found your study and they're interested in it. And we're going to move on. Natasha is going to present some new things going on with research recruitment here on campus.
Yeah, so this slide is just a random example of some of the emails that kind of come across throughout in our Outlook inbox occasionally. This is by no means inclusive or excluding or highlighting any one study over another, but as you work here at the university, I'm sure you've seen one, if not many, of these emails that kind of come across in our Outlook box that are actively trying to recruit participants to a study. And these are usually coming through on a listserv. Listservs are a complicated issue because of CAN spanning laws and other issues. And also as researchers, we kind of get stuck in this scenario of researching ourselves. Research Studies was actually created for the greater community, for volunteers, so that they have one central repository when they're starting to look at potential studies that might be a good fit for them, themselves, for their family members. And this is just kind of what we can occasionally see. Sometimes these emails go straight into spam. We have junk folders. We're not always sure who opens them. Sometimes you may get one email, sometimes you might get 20 of them, and then you can go days without. So we're really trying to streamline this process so that we're not, as end users, getting emails like this on a continual basis. If you move to the next slide, Matt. So what we're trying to do in an effort to streamline this process is really have one central source of communication when it comes to recruitment for emails, specifically for recruitment of a study. So in the center example, we are working on putting together a bi-monthly newsletter, so it will go out twice a month. If you are trying to recruit for your specific study that is in research studies, which means it's coming from Encore, and you have a page, then we could direct folks to that particular study that would be looking to recruit. And then on the far right side, it would also be updated on the homepage. So this is an example of what that would look like with the highlighted section of those particular studies that are looking actively to recruit because a study member has asked for additional recruitment methods. So the way that that would work is your information needs to be updated in Encore, and that information from the CIPFI gets pulled over into the research study. And if you have any questions on updating that admin process, which Matt just kind of walked through, that would need to be updated with the contact information, the photos, any other additional information you would want there. If you then email researchstudies@cuanschutz.edu, we would provide you with a link to FormStack upon request, and then that would get included into the newsletter that would be coming up. This is just kind of the proposed process and some examples of how that could look. We're working on getting all of that set up so that that can launch this summer. So more details and information about that will be available as we move forward, but just wanted to kind of share that with the group because we are interested in your feedback. If you think something might work better than another way, but really just trying to streamline that process. And also then we have a tracking mechanism of how successful these recruitment efforts really are. Who's actually opening up these emails, and then it should be driving traffic to those that are actually interested. So it should go to that particular study immediately for feedback. I think there's a couple of questions, Matt.
Oh yeah.
So one is who would get the newsletter? So the newsletter would actually go to faculty and staff on campus, just like people are using the listservs as they currently are. So we would actually though have then this built-in mechanism to see who's opening it, how often is it being opened, and then ultimately it would link to your study page. So as end users, as PI study coordinators, you should be able to see increased traffic in your study because people should be contacting you as well. So that's how that goes.
And I think you might have mentioned it's aimed to go out bi-monthly, so twice a month once it gets going.
Yeah, and that is kind of open to how the flow is. If we feel like it needs to go every week because there's just so much. But again, just kind of based upon what we're seeing kind of fly across emails. Sometimes it's 20 a day and then it's 5 days of none. So we'll have to find a cadence, but we're open to more information about that. Another question that kind of came in is you had mentioned we are looking at creating that whole option of contacting folks via text. So a person is asking, is there a recommended method to text people for this upcoming update? I assume we should avoid using our personal phone number. So I think what this person is asking, if you're a part of a study that doesn't have like a general number or people, what's kind of the workaround around that, if you want to take that on, Matt?
Yeah, I've had good luck using a software called Jabber. It's a Cisco software, and I believe OIT, if you contact them, they can set you up. And when working from home, I don't want to use my personal cell phone either, so you can actually make the call through your computer. And you can also set it up, I'm pretty sure, on your phone, so it makes it look like you're calling from your work phone. it's possible to set up kind of a dummy number, I believe, as well. So reach out to OIT for that, and I believe it's spelled Jabber, Jabber. And I'm not sure if as text, but I'm pretty sure it's full phone capability. So I'd imagine that you could text through Jabber as well.
Great. Another question, how are studies prioritized in appearing in the newsletter? So again, if you are looking, so as we use the example of some of these emails that are coming across campus, and if you fill out that form, we are going to, the thought is just to kind of put them in order of COMERB number once they kind of come through. But we are open to other thoughts or feedback if they're concerned that that might not be a good fit. Another question is, as we talk about the distribution of this information, is it going to all faculty and staff or only those on a listserv or opt-in? So right now, what we're seeing is the emails that are kind of going across are on a general listserv. People are using activities announcement that just goes to a larger blanket audience. So we would it would be set up that we can go to faculty and staff. If people want to opt out, they could opt out. And if people wanted to be added to that list, we could have them added in as well. But again, we would be using Marketing Cloud, which is a campus-wide system for distribution of information. So that way we are in compliance with CAN spamming laws and all the other information that kind of gets encapsulated in distributions of large sends as well. These are great questions. Thank you, guys. Is there a next slide?
Yes.
So this, as Matt had referenced earlier, tip sheets. There are 2 documents that we're going to be sending to you. The first 2 screenshots are front and back that really just kind of talks about research studies, how it works for potential volunteers, the process, and then the back side, that gray and white column there in the middle, just kind of goes through the specifics of the fields and how they map up from Encore to research studies as well. The language can differentiate a little bit, so that matches it up for you guys if there are any questions. And then also previously the question was asked, how do I go in and make these admin changes? That last screenshot is a document that we will share to all of those that were on the call. That really gives you step-by-step instructions of how Matt just kind of did the demo for us all. And that's a really helpful resource tool as well. Next slide. It's a lot of information that we've kind of gone over today. So feel free to reach out to researchstudies@cuinstitute.edu. We are very open to feedback, and we are responsive to requests that kind of come through there. So just be patient. If you haven't gotten a response in like 2 hours or in 12 hours, we're working our way through them. So we appreciate any and all comments. And kind of in that same vein, we're looking at potentially hosting some office hours as folks start to use this. Again, this research studies website was really created for the community as a whole, right? So that they had one place to go to see all the studies that are taking place on campus. But we know that the strength and success of that really depends on how well that the research study coordinators, the PRAs and PIs are keeping their information relevant to them. So we really want to encourage folks to go in there and update their information as possible. So we're thinking about hosting some office hours if that helps. We have put together a poll that we would like to share. It's anonymous, so don't worry that we have access to who responded which way. But you should see now a question: would there be interest in a set time each week for office hours to ask questions and receive guidance on using the site? So looks like 2 people have responded. So that number is increasing. So we'll just kind of we'll give them a minute. And I think another question kind of popped up in the Q&A. how is this site being promoted to the greater community? So as Matt mentioned in the beginning of the talk, when this site launched, COVID kind of hit at the same time. We had attended about 2 9 News health fairs in January of 2020, and then COVID hit. So restrictions got pulled back. There weren't large gatherings. That is starting to, those restrictions are starting to change as we speak. So we're being open to that. On the 9 News Health Fair, there is a link to us. And so we are working on getting more engaged in the community. And that is also starting with more town halls and lunch and learns like this. Again, the more folks use this site and have it user friendly, 7th grade language speak is also very helpful. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, we had suggestions to use community sites such as Nextdoor. I believe, what is Stapleton called now? I'm terrible at remembering.
Central Park.
Yes, Central Park has a newsletter. There's different areas that we're looking to promote, and that's definitely our next big push, is to get community awareness of the site. So if you have any ideas, please just email us at the Research Studies email. We'd love to hear your ideas about getting the information out that this site exists and get users in the community as much as possible.
Another question is, are there any social media plans? From a social media perspective, we are really trying to drive people to research studies at cu-stud.edu and really relying on you, the end users, for your studies. If you have a specific social, either Facebook or Twitter account where you're trying to drive traffic for your study, please update that on your page. And if you want to reference people to research studies at cu-stud.edu, that's really the best way to do that, so that everybody, again, is recognizing research studies at cu-stud.edu is the place to go to find that information. Another question is, are we considering paid advertisements such as Instagram? At this point, we're not looking at paid advertisements. There's a lot of background and infrastructure that was kind of set up in creating this resource for the community and users on the campus as well. So at this point, no, but again, we really want to increase study participants as far as the studies themselves to getting their page the way it's up to date. So if you have social channels that you would like to do, and if your grant has extra funding and you want to promote your study, that's an option for you as well. Matt, you said there were about 1,000 new hits to the website over what period of time per month?
Per month, yeah. The last check was per month, and it's increasing. So the last time we took it was per month, and hopefully it's more now. And we're aiming for even more than that. So.
And again, keep in mind, like we said, this was really when COVID hit, and as far as community engagement. So we're trying to get all these studies kind of where people feel comfortable with them as well. And then we will continue to promote it in the community as well. Can you require all campus studies to share info about this site to all of their participants somehow?
No, not necessarily require. It is a voluntary choice. So if a study team did not want to participate, they can always choose on Encore to omit from the site. Unfortunately, for non-clinical studies and studies not in Encore, we currently don't have the mechanism to get a feed to the site. So to require everybody is just not a possibility at this time.
Yep. Another question, how do we change the category that our studies listed, e.g. healthy volunteers versus cancer? Is this done in Encore as well?
So it is a one-way feed. So if you were to change the categories in Encore, it would feed through the SIP feed, I believe, at midnight. So you see the changes on the website 24 hours at, or whatever, midnight after. The changes don't go backwards though. So if you were to make a change on Research Studies site, to the categories, that will not impact what's in Encore. The tip sheets that we're sending out at the end of the call shows you how to change the categories. An important thing is the primary category is what the picture is based off. There's like 6 pictures per category that we have. So if your primary category is some kind of cancer research, there's pictures that are related to cancer research. There's optical pictures, but you can have, I believe, up to 6 categories, and your study can be found in each of those categories on the front page. So if you have an eye study, but it's also a cancer study, they'll be in both those categories. The primary category is just what it's branded as far as like what the picture is.
Great. And this is another question. Are there any discussions with our hospital partners about advertising this site to their patients? Perhaps something as simple as a statement at the end of their after visit summary, such as, I'm interested in participating in research. Visit researchstudies.cu and should study edu. I know there are limitations about including links to external websites, but this could be a good resource for patients to know that these studies exist.
Yes, there are definitely discussions ongoing with the hospital partners. Currently, we should be at the bottom. I'm not sure if it's completed or yet. On Children's My Health Connect, is that what Children's one's called? It might be called something. My chart with Children's. They have a newsletter that we should be a part of, and there are ongoing discussions and getting into the UC health system. It's just not happened yet, but we're talking about it, and that's our hope that it will be included in some type of communication during your office visit, aftercare, or like a monthly newsletters sort of situation, kind of like how Children's is doing it.
Great. And thank you all for providing your feedback on the office hours. It looks like Thursdays is a possibility, and others are just feeling like email communication is fine. So again, it's research studies at CU and should study edu. So,
and feedback has actually been taken into account, and the site has been updated based on user feedback. So please feel free to email us with your ideas, because it has improved the site in the past. So we're gonna be here for a little while. We intentionally made this meeting a little short on the presentation side and a little bit longer on the Q&A side. So we wanted to be sure we're here as a resource to you. Again, we're going to send out some documents to help you walk through updating your site or your study on the site. And as well, we are available to answer questions through the research studies at cuanschutz.edu email address. I'll just leave this up just because it's how you get in touch with us. Like Natasha said, it's not possible for us to answer questions within 15 minutes or even 2 hours. We aim for 24 to 48 hours of contact. So if you allow us that amount of time, we can really help you as much as possible. But hopefully the documents we're sending out at the end of the presentation will be helpful as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. If not, thank you so much for participating. We're looking for doing something like this on a regular basis. So you'll probably see us again in a month or two, but we'll just hang out and answer questions until everybody's done.
Matt, a few folks put some questions in the chat versus the Q&A. So I'm just gonna go through it.
Thank you.
Does the newsletter go to the community members? So the answer to that is, at the moment, it does not. It would just go to campus, faculty, and staff. We are in conversations with, so there was a group on campus called Campus and Community Partnerships, which has merged and kind of joined forces with the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion under Regina Richards at the CU Anschutz campus. They have a newsletter that goes out on a weekly basis, and we are in conversation with them if they could include a link to our newsletter that we would be sending out that would be a great possibility as well. So at least that's going out in that realm as a possibility. So there are other conversations about that and other venues for distribution that are kind of on the radar. Another question is, can you upload flyers via SIP and Encore? If we have a central IRB, can we upload their rather than the COMORB approval form? Do you want to take that on?
Yeah, I don't know that it's possible. The place where we have flyers, I don't think is connected to the SIP feed. So you'd have to go into your site via the admin portal and put it there. We can talk to our guru who has the ability to update things and see if that's a possibility. But currently my understanding is that they're not connected. So if you do have a flyer in Encore, it won't show up in on the site, and you'd have to manually upload it. But we'll look into that because that would be, hopefully, I would imagine it'd be an easy fix to include that.
So another question about social kind of came up. If you add a Facebook link, where does it show up? So if you go back to the beginning, when Matt, maybe I think it's slide 2, when we had screenshots, and Matt's actually going to the website itself too. That's fine. You can go to the webpage.
Yeah, I got logged out. Just 1 second.
When you log in and it goes specifically to your page, and when it gives you more information, it would appear on that specific page, kind of the page that had the photo on it and specific details. The reason you don't see that now is because folks aren't, either that study doesn't have any social accounts, or that particular group has not uploaded and inserted that information. So that's how the social component would be addressed. Are you on that page?
Yeah, so it's right here. Just be super careful if you're out there about compensation, because there are various rules about being able to put exact monetary amounts. So be sure if you do put compensation information that it's IRB approved language. But yeah, you can put a Facebook link, a Twitter link, and additional links down here, as well as a red cap link here. And as long as you put it in there and then submit it and we approve it, it will show up right after we approve.
Great. I think we addressed this one. If we use a central IRB, is their advertisement approval sufficient?
Oops, sorry about that. I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
If we use a central IRB, is their advertisement approval sufficient?
That's a very good question. I would include that document with your changes, and then we'll review it and get back to you if it wasn't sufficient. But I believe it would be if you use Word or a different IRB than COMORB.
So stay tuned for more. If time allows, can you show the demo for the PI photo upload again? I just
Sure.
and only had the option to upload a photo, but not to pull from the CU doc site.
Oh yeah, the CU doc site is automatic, so you would not be able to do that. It's something in the background. So you would have to find a photo of your PI. You could just go to CU Doctors, doctors.com, and like all I did is Thomas Flegg. And you may be able to find your PI's photo this way. They also probably have a photo in their email address in Outlook, so they can provide you with their email photo as well. But all I did was I got Dr. Flagg's photo off of this to be able to upload it onto here.
Great. On your site, can't you offer a sign up to get our newsletter for community folks?
Possibly.
That's a great, yeah, once we launch this summer and have that out, that's definitely a possibility. So we thank you for posing that question. We will add that to the list and explore that further. So thank you. That was, thanks. If we use a commercial IRB, do they need to approve PI photo?
That's a very good question. I believe that they would. Yeah, any advertise, it would be considered an advertisement. So I would err on the side of caution for that one. But if we run into an issue, we can look into it. It seems a little silly, but since it is a publication of a research document, I would err on the side of caution and say it would need to be approved.
Great. Why did research lose access to Slicer Dicer? And are there any similar programs we could use for study chart review?
Not really our expertise. It's not my expertise, so I do not know why research lost Slicer Dicer. I wonder who would be the best contact to find that question out. Maybe the support, research support.
Yeah, clinical research support at ucdenver.edu. I think if you email them, they hopefully can get back to you or get you in contact with somebody who can help address that question further. So thank you. Sorry I missed the beginning, but do community-based research studies fall in the category that would allow for the use of this portal? If COMOR is exempt, where you don't usually have to add the study to Encore?
Good question. Currently, we don't have the mechanism to do studies that aren't in COMER since it's an automatic feed from Encore. So if your study is not in Encore, we currently don't have a way to publish your study. That might be a question for COMER if they'd have a mechanism to get you onto Encore. I believe there's fees involved. So right now it's not an option, but it may be something that we could do in the future. But currently, since the way the website's set up, it's not a possibility that we have right now.
There's another question about where do I find my CU doctor, and I just put the email sender in there. So
thank you.
That URL. And I think that's it. I don't see any other questions in chat or in the Q&A. So we will hang out for a few more minutes, but thank you all for your time. We are happy to answer any questions that you may have, research studies at CU Rancho Study EDU. And if you would like, if there's maybe a handful of people in your area that weren't able to attend this town hall today and would like another demo, we're happy to put that together as well. We recognize that you can't find a time that works great for everybody, but just wanted to throw that out there as an option. So thank you all for your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Looks like there might have been some more chat Q&A stuff.
I think Darcy's just saying hi to you, Matt.
Oh.
All right. Well,
yeah, if you have any questions, I believe we're going to sign off. Just reach out and we'll get in touch. Thank you so much for joining. And there should be a recording available, but probably it takes a little bit to compress and be able to upload to where it goes. So expect that maybe in a week or two.
Yeah, and we will also include those documents that we referenced earlier. So thank you all. Enjoy this beautiful Colorado weather day. Bye, everybody. Sure. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh,
I'm just reading through the chats before I log off.
Right.
Let's see.
It's on my list. Yeah.
I will respond to Katie. How do you respond directly? Oh. Okay.
There's still a few more folks on
Okay.
and end this call if that's okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right.
Have a great day.
Thanks all. Bye.